Yes, my name is Adaponophobia Cogs. Well, everybody is here from
Wait, did we restart?
We haven't restarted anything because we were going to restart it right now, and everyone's going to see how we do it live. We are doing, this is called the Shit Show Podcast. You guys ready to record Audacity?
Oh, yes, I'm ready.
We were ready 15 minutes ago.
Right before the second intro.
Wait. 3.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Okay. I'm ready.
Wait, here we go. Here we go.
We're professionals, people.
3, 2, 1, click. All right. Now we are all synced all together. We have our Audacity together, and everybody's happy and going. And everybody can hear us because I fixed the sound on stream because I'm pushing it through the Scarlet now, and I'm not pushing it through.
You wouldn't have had to fix it if you did it right the first time.
My God. My favorite was the second intro.
Yeah.
Hey,
we could have done the whole episode and had no audio ready because we didn't restart on.
I had a gold prop pun and all lost because you, Adam. Thanks.
Do you want to act it out again?
Yeah, you want to do it again? We can start. I can actually do the whole intro again. You ready? Guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. This is episode number 275. Everybody's here from Days to DeClawd to Punch to Cheera. Everyone say hi in unison.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
Look at this. I'm perfect. I can do this all over again. It's not like we haven't done this 3 times already. So, another announcement, because anybody who's live has already heard this, but the podcasters have not. I am looking for Plat 5. Plat.
You want to start over again, Adam?
Take 4.
I am looking for Plat 5 plus shoutcasters who want to help people get better at this game. I'm sorry if you're silver. I'm sorry if you're gold and you think you have the knowledge. Plat 5 plus, that's the cutoff. I will not accept anything lower. I understand, but we are growing fast, and we're trying to get people in here that really want to help other players learn and get better at this game. So if you're Plat 5 plus and you want to be a Battle Arena Shoutcaster, you need to email us, feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com. However, by emailing us, what you are doing is you're signing up to receive a replay. I'm going to be giving you a Diamond 4 plus replay, and you're going to go over that in solo cast replay as if it was Battle Arena. You're going to give tips, tricks. You're going to point out flaws. You're going to point out things people did well. You're going to set it up as if they're playing Battle Arena, but it's going to be a high-level replay. Because if you can dissect a high-level replay, you're going to have the easiest time dissecting a bronze-level replay or a gold-level replay or whatever it may be. The only other stipulation is that you're available on Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock Eastern Time and every other Saturday. I'm going to start setting up a schedule for people here, too, for Battle Arena. Because, like I said, we're growing fast, and we want people to join in this and really help ride the train and help, push the Trinity Force Network forward and teach people to get better at this game. So feedback at trinityforcepodcast.com. Tell me you're willing to learn and you're ready to watch that replay. So there's that. That's the intro. DeClawd, this is the point where you wear your glasses, I ask why you're wearing sunglasses, and we talk about the next piece.
Well, sorry that, my puns aren't repeatable like that. I just there's no reruns, it's but since we're talking about getting more casters, we are going to talk about AP items, so that makes sense. We can transition right off that.
I'm actually really mad.
Let's talk about what the casters are getting.
I'm really mad that I couldn't get my soundboard working over Skype. Like, it works over TeamSpeak. It works in fucking Audition. It works in all the other bullshit, but I can't get it fucking working through Skype, so I can't play like a da-da-ch or a train wreck sound or a car wreck sound, and I can't play Cinder laughing or that either. Like, I'm so mad. I want to troll the shit.
So Adam, I'm sorry, Andrew has demanded that, Adam, you do not drink until you have the stream set up.
For those of you,
there's a way.
I just flicked him off. So. Listen, I'm gonna show you guys right now. That's all I've had to drink. Right there, can you see that? There's 1. There's
Mouse
2.
pad? Oh,
there's 3. That's all I've had to drink.
These 3 bottles of beer. That's all I've had to drink.
And why do you have mustard?
Yeah.
Because I had dinner tonight. The mustard was right there. I had a sandwich and I had mustard.
I thought we were just blaming all of your pitfalls on drinking.
That's old.
Was that the plan?
Isn't that what we normally do?
Yeah. But you ruined it. Now it just looks like stupidity.
This is where you play the blame it on the alcohol soundboard.
Make one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the sound of a beer opening.
Fans, someone make us a soundboard that Pong can actually use. Has to be very user-friendly, Fisher-Price kind of style, better, and send it to him.
Like one of those things, you remember the old things you pulled the string and it made like a cow noise?
The random animal noise.
The cow says, boo.
The old McDonald had a farm.
The potophobia says, fuck you.
Oh, you turned your head.
Yeah, because it spun around, like the head turned as it spun. And it was like, brrr.
Yeah.
Points to something.
Yeah.
All right.
We should probably get into our discussion.
Yeah, we'll get back to League now.
Stuff that matters.
Rails are gone.
Back to my transition. And we're talking about hiring casters. Let's talk about the AP items that they will need.
Hey, good one, DeClawd. I'm so glad I have you around.
Thanks. Beautiful. Bastards.
I'm gonna do my own soundboard tonight. All right, let's talk about Blasting Wand. Let's talk about Needlessly Large Rod. Let's talk about Rabadon's Deathcap. Let's talk about Zhonya's, Luden's, Rylai's, Archangels, Zeraph's, Rod of Ages, Hunting Guys, Liandry's, Void. Oh my god, look at all these. I'm just gonna roll through them. All right, no, seriously, we're gonna talk.
We need
about
at least 10 minutes on Blasting Wand, please.
Why? Because it lost 10 gold.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do.
Right. Like a little.
Let's talk about it.
No, but Blasting Wand. Okay, so there's been a bunch of changes. The reason we're going over ADP itemization today is so that you're equipped with the biggest, arguably the biggest part of this patch. Now there are a few changes, like there's a Callista change, there's Spirit Fist change, and there's Devourer, Righteous Glory, Runeglaive, and as well as Singe, because there's a big, huge Singe change in this patch. But we all talked, and we figured that the itemization changes carried much more weight than the other changes did. So we wanted to catch those first, so you guys had something to play with through the weekend.
And these will affect more people than one individual champions.
Correct.
But if we have time, we'll continue to something else.
Absolutely. Yes, we will. We're going to start first. So what they've done is they've tried to make it, I would say, make it easier for casters. They have more choices, essentially, when they're going back. That's all it was. Give casters more choices and more unique paths to go down, rather than either save up 1,600 gold for a big item or have to buy little step items that don't really help them at 800 gold apiece. Yeah,
that pretty much covers it all. Just more choices in general, more using your brain as opposed to just being pigeonholed and, this is the same high damage AP build every game.
Zhonya's, Rabadon's, Luden's?
Yes. Void Staff.
Void Staff, right.
In there.
Right.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, Blasting Wand lost 10 gold. It cost 10 gold less, so it's now 850 gold. Well, you probably noticed that change. I doubt it. Did most of you save up 860 gold? Maybe a couple times. So they were just, the tip of the iceberg. The next big change, though, is Needlessly Large Rod is now costs 1,250 gold, but the ability power has been reduced by 20 down to 60 gold. And probably, that was, I'd say, arguably one of the larger changes of this, is that Needlessly Large Rod is easier to obtain.
Right. Easier to obtain, so you can back sooner, and it's not a huge power spike, where if you get it and your opponent doesn't, you can pretty much just snowball.
You're basically casting extra abilities at that point.
Like, I got the item I needed, you didn't get the item you needed, so I pretty much win the lane.
Yeah.
Right.
And they also made it so, it also builds into other items too, so it has more uses as well, which we'll get to.
Needless was always one of those trap items where people are like, I have to stay in lane until I have 1,600 gold. I have to stay in lane. I know I have 50 health, but I have to stay in lane. So this helps give you like a little bit more confidence that you can go back, actually come back with an item and actually make a difference in your lane. Because if you went back with like 1,300 or 1,400 gold, it was kind of like, well, what the fuck do I do now? Like, all right, I'm going to go sit in lane like I'm level 1 again. And it's just frustrating. So this gives you a little bit more. I mean, it's the same thing that ADCs deal with BF Sword down bot. Like, how many times do you see someone die either mid or bot or something because they're like, I need 50 gold. I need 50 gold, and then they die.
Right.
So that's a nice little change.
Needlessly Large Rod's changing to 1,250 gold makes it easier, because I'm going to skip a bunch of items here and go down near the bottom, because there's Morellonomicon and Athene's Unholy Grail, which some of their combination of pieces equal roughly 1,200 gold. So now you have a choice when you go back. So Morellonomicon, the total cost has been unchanged, but the recipe of Fiendish Codex, Forbidden Idol, and Amplifying Tome plus 445 gold has been changed. Before it was 400 and, what is that, 435 gold? It cost 435 gold less than it previously was.
Yeah, well, it was
gold.
It was Codex, Idol, and 880
combined
gold.
cost.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. The combined cost. Yes, exactly. Because it adds
the extra Amplifying Tome has been added into it and taken out the combined cost.
Right. Better way to explain it than how I did.
And they did the same thing
They did the same thing.
Yep, same thing. And like you were saying, they kind of did this to give laners an alternative first back rather than Needlessly Large Rod. The Amplifying Tome plus the Fiendish Codex roughly equates to the same price as the Rod. So you can get 10 extra AP with the 60 AP on Needlessly Large Rod, or Phoenix Codex and Tome is 50 AP and 10% cooldown reduction.
Yep.
So it kind of depends on what item you're rushing for. That would pretty much determine what you want to back with. And I guess how much you back with. I mean, maybe you back less than 1,250 gold, and you still have the option to pick up a Phoenix Codex, and that can determine your build that way.
The other thing that these changes...
And you want to spend it on the Sheen.
Yeah, but now that doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
With Ludens.
The other thing with this is that it allows for a lot of the utility casters who didn't necessarily go like crazy needless build a little bit more of a power spike, and it lets them get their items a little bit easier, especially when we get into like Liandry's where that had a pretty big buff to it. It's helping even the playing field a little bit so that not everything has to be a burst caster.
Yeah, it'll be out there. Sorry, it's fun that these changes are coming through, because we'll talk about Rylai's changes in a moment, because this actually allows a lot of the other casters to start coming into play and seeing mid play again. We're not going to be dominated by necessarily assassins, but it also makes me fear that we're going to start seeing the assassins comes back into mid lane, the AD assassins, rather than seeing all of the AP mages, because AD assassins counter AP mages, but AP mages counter the It's
a damn good point. I think it's something that a lot of people probably overlooked when they read through all these changes. You see all this potential here, like, oh yeah, you lose damage on this item and this item, but you gain more damage on these other items.
Right.
And they're thinking more about the casters that are directly affected by these, and not by the counter of the casters, which is, as you just pointed out. So good observation there.
Yeah, there's no big buffs, but we could start seeing. What people are speculating is Vladimir, Brand, Karthus, a little bit of Cassiopeia, those type of casters that will also get destroyed by Zed and Talon and J4 and all those other mids that maybe played the AD mids. So as we see those casters coming here that benefit from power spikes earlier because these itemization changes, I kind of fear that we're going to start seeing ADs taking over the mid lane instead. Just something to throw out there. I don't know how well my fear is going to be met, but
I think it's a valid one. But I'm hesitant to go too far into it when we still have a lot of extra details to discuss.
Right. Oh yeah, we didn't need to get into that. Just something for people to think about and kind of chew on as they go through these changes and they think about what champions they're going to play. Because what counters are you going to run to? What kind of strategies are people going to try to come up with to counter what is being pushed out there? What meta is pushed out there? All right, so we're gonna move on. We already talked about that. So right now you have the choice by going back at 1,200 gold, because that seems be about the sweet spot. You're gonna go back and get a big AP item, or you're gonna go back and you're going to
go back for raw power or more abilities and some power.
Yes. Rabadon's Deathcap has been changed as well. The total cost of it has been increased to 3,500 gold, but the recipe has been changed to Needlessly Large Rod, Blasting Wand, and Amplifying Tome. The ability power is still 120, but the ability power bonus is now 35% rather than 30% because the cost has been increased.
Nice buff.
Which is an important factor because they took the ability power of some of the higher end items down. So they wanted to kind of even out the very late game top end ability power level that you can reach. So I mean, that was the rationale for the 35% increase, but it is 200 extra gold, and the recipe cost actually increased, even though an amplifying tome was added to it. So it seems like it'd be a bit harder to build.
The other thing about it is that 200 gold makes a difference in like your timing of your power spikes, because Void Staff's a big deal. Once your bruisers and tanks start building MR, like you want to counter that pretty quickly. So it's an extra like 2 waves that you have to farm in order to get that. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're about to team fight and you're like, okay, I need this much more gold, 200 gold takes a little while to get. Anyone who's been in that situation, that 200 gold might make a little difference come the mid or late game when you're trying to pick that up and counter somebody.
Yeah, but at least you can get the Needlessly Large Rod earlier and take advantage of that power spike. So hopefully help balance out a little bit.
I will say that the Rabadon's change of making a 3-item build, and the same thing with the earlier items like Morellonomicon and Athene.
Chalice.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Or yeah, Athene.
I mean, I don't mind it overall, just because For generally, you're going to have the room from Morellonomicon and Athene to be able to sit on 3 items.
If you're getting it early, yeah.
But by the time that you're going to get Rabadons, you can sit on 2 items and keep a 3rd spot open for wards. So at what point
that's my concern.
Are you able to sit on that 3rd amplifying tome and then pay for the cost? Because now you have given up a space for wards. 3 item builds to me have always been sticky because of that reason. You can't sit on a ward. You can't have wards in your inventory.
I think that you have to be careful. I think the only time you pick up that amp tome is if you can't afford the Forbidden Idol, or if you want to forego the Forbidden Idol and you'd rather have the Fiendish Codex and the amp tome. I think that it would be a terrible idea to go to get those 3 items and not pick up your ward. Like, I feel like that would be a really big kind of like low level mistake. Not necessarily, but it's not. Those wards are so important.
Yeah.
So to forego them for an amp tome is kind of silly.
Yeah, and the big problem with that is you will definitely hit a point in the game where you want to be able to you need that Deathcap to get that next power spike, but though you need those wards to stay safe because you'll never hit that power spike without those wards, and it's potential that you'll never gain that enough gold to be able to buy the amplifying tome and then finish your Deathcap as well, because by the time you've gone back and you've picked up those 3 wards, you'll probably pick up a potion as well. So you spent about 600 gold at that point, and that's the 435 for the amplifying tome plus the 3 wards or whatever it is. But yeah, that's my point. Is you're spending that gold every time you go back. When do you ever finish that Rabadons unless you get a double kill?
You know what you should do then? You should upgrade your damn trinket. Get that greater totem going, and then you'll be fine on the ward spot.
You still need that 6th spot for a pink ward.
You do, but if you can place that pink ward in a decent spot in the game, you're going to have to move it up later on, but you have a little bit of wiggle room there if you have that upgraded trinket. And there was a lot of math done with win rates and upgrading your trinkets and not upgrading, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I still see people not doing it. So, this just stresses it even more. You're going to need that trinket to ward. You're going to need that space if you're with all these 3 item spots taking up your inventory.
I saw Rhino in the chat, and he said he was upgrading his trinket. I hope we're furthering to hammer it home now. Because I didn't mention enough in the replay that I did.
It's only 250 gold. Come on.
Adam, I think that what you're referring to affects Deathcap a lot more than it does Morellonomicon and Athene's, because
it's later
technically they're the same, and Morello's and Athene's are the same cost. So technically you could just not pick up the amp tome and it really doesn't affect you at all.
Right.
But a lot of times, like, people will go back and not necessarily, they'll be picking up Morellonomicon for the healing reduction or whatever, and they don't, mana regen is nice, but it's not necessarily as useful for them in lane or something like that. So this way they can choose to get an amp tome if they prefer that instead. But overall, I don't think it affects that as much as it does the needless, just because of the cost increase, like you mentioned.
Right. If you look at it from the idea of if you only buy the 2 pieces of the Rabadon, so you buy the blasting wand and the needlessly large, and you don't want to buy that amp tomb, in order to finish that Rabadons, you're going to need 1370 gold, which
is more than the rod.
That's exactly right. Like, if you don't want to pick up that amp tomb, you have to wait until you have more money than the changed needlessly large rod in order to upgrade to a Rabadons.
Yeah, I think we really hit the nail on it, or we really kind of, I don't know the saying for this, so I'm just going to come out with it, is that I don't know if Rabadon is going to be a very good first rush anymore. And I think we're kind of all agreeing with that here. Yeah. Is that unless you're really far ahead and you can afford it.
Unless you're just killing it.
Rabadon is just really hard to get, or really hard to finish, I should say. And
well,
some of these other item changes just seem more appealing as a first
It kind of makes sense with the idea of Deathcap anyway. Like, the ability power bonus is always going to be more effective later anyway.
Right.
So it's not a terrible thing for it not to be rushed anymore. It's significantly more effective if you can get another item at first. But a lot of it depends on whether or not you're picking that needless. And now that needless builds into a few more things, that helps a little bit.
You have flexibility at least, so.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, the reason it was rushed before and the reason it could still be rushed if you're really far ahead is because it is the highest AP damage item.
Period.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, that hasn't changed.
They're just making you work a little bit more for it now.
Right.
Yeah, right. Well, let's move on and talk about Zhonya's Hourglass, Luden's Echo, etc. Zhonya's Hourglass has had the cost reduced to 3,000 gold, but the ability power has gone down 100, and this is because of the change in the needlessly large rod. I do see this a big change for supports, or well, one support individually. Yeah, Morgana loves this change. 300 gold less to be able to get an item that can be game changing and push a power spike up a few moments earlier.
That allows you to not die.
But you know what you said about those AD assassins? Like, this will help against them as well.
That's true.
Because getting that a little bit earlier is significant. Especially you rush that on a lot of APs if you're going against an assassin like that.
Yep. Yeah, I actually think this is a positive change, kind of overall, just because you're really compelled to get this item before it's active. And you can get it that much sooner now because it's trying to go cheaper.
And punch on your 80 carries for those rare times when you want one of these.
No. Against Rengar, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No.
It's the Rengar.
No.
The ability power reduction doesn't matter.
He's playing Corky with Zhonya's from now on.
It's a great idea.
Oh, that
you know
is
what?
a good idea. That's
you know
a
what?
really
That,
good idea.
That could... all right.
Can we bring that up on the Champions Like
work.
podcast if that's a vibe?
Oh my god.
That would be great.
And then to just BM
like,
the
"Nah,
enemy
shut
team
up."
midway through Valkyrie when you're in the air, you just hit Zhonya's and really piss people off. You know what? You don't not just piss off the people on the enemy team, you piss them off on your team because you're midway through your escape, and as soon as it's done, you're dead.
You make it look like you're going over the wall, and you hit it as you're about to go over, so they flash.
Yeah, get juked.
There you go.
As long as you win anyways, it's always about making the statement.
Juking.
Just make
Right.
a
Who cares
statement.
what you built? You won. I will. I don't like Zhonya's. I mean, I like it, but I think the item is super fucking toxic, and I hate the active on it because there's no counterplay to it other than wait it out, and that pisses me off. I hate knockups, and I hate stasis. There's no
but
fucking
that's separate
counterplay to
from
them.
it being a very effective item.
Yeah.
I hate
Right,
stasis
so-
coming from the one guy in this podcast who actually plays Bard.
Yeah, but you have no room to talk. You go back, crawl back into your hole.
I mean, we can all agree it's a really effective item,
Oh, yeah.
but you may hate it just because of how good it is.
That's it. It's because stasis is troll level and fucking knockups are troll level, and we'll get the knockups later because this shit pissed me off about the slow change. Because damn you, Riot! All right, Luden's Echo. We're talking about that. Cost has been reduced to 3,000 gold. Ability power has been reduced to 100. Movement speed has been increased to 10%. Big change here is the movement speed has been increased to 10%, meaning you can stack it more quickly.
Yeah. Well, that I don't know what it is about move speed on certain AP assassins, but damn, 3% isn't a crazy amount, but I like this.
It's a rune. It's more than a rune.
Yeah, I like this. I love move speed. And if Dom were still around doing this stuff, he'd be all over this too because he loves move speed more than any of us.
Yeah,
It's fleet of foot, 3 points in it. The mastery gives you 1.5% movement speed, so this is double that. So that's pretty significant.
It's double that for an item that's now cheaper than it was.
Right.
You just lose a little bit of power.
This is kind of the only love that AP Assassins get in these changes, I feel, though. Because the rest of it, I mean, AP Assassins looking to build those high-end ability power items, max damage, which is Rabadon, Zhonya's, Luden's. Well, across those 3 items, you've lost 40 ability power. So in return, they gain 3% movement speed. So I'm kind of lamenting for the AP assassin here. Maybe they build some of these other items that we'll get into later, but it seems like they took a hit.
Well, they get, they only get 10 more with void stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. We could bring that up too.
That's still a net loss though.
A net loss
The thing about move speed that you want to watch is that at certain points they're capped, so you get diminishing returns on your move speed after a certain amount. So like at
35 or something.
It's 415 before 415 and 490. So if you're already playing with someone that has like a ton of move speed, I'm not sure who would build Luden's that has a ton of move speed like that. But anytime you're playing with move speed, just go look up the math behind it, so that you make sure you're
Cassiopeia.
Yeah, running towards someone that's poisoned, doesn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. So move speed between 415 and 490 gets multiplied by 80%, and then anything over 490 is only 50% applied. So it probably won't affect many people, but it's just something you want to know just for reference.
With the 5% extra on the Rabadon's Deathcap, by the way, with those 3 items, it's 36. You're losing 36 ability power. So you only get 4 more for the 5%. But total overall, you are short on 36 ability power than you were the old 3 items. With the 5%. That's why it's not 40. It's 36. Right. You get 4 back for the 5%.
Right.
So
you're short 26 if you build void stuff.
Right, as you build more AP, exactly. The deficit gets smaller.
I'm glad you did that, DeClawd, because I extended that a bit, so that I included Liandry, which we'll talk about later, so that with Deathcap, Void, Zhonya's, Luden's, Liandry's, it kind of breaks even, because you'll have a net loss of 30 with Void Staff plus 10, Luden, Zhonya's minus 40, and then Liandry's, as we'll get into, has a plus 30. So, net is the same there. Right, and you actually gain 168 bonus ability power with Rabadon's as opposed to 144. So 24 additional ability power if you go with that build. But again, that's including Liandry's, which has the largest ability power increase. And I'm not sure everyone's going to build that. We'll see.
Yeah, somebody who
I want to try it
continually reapply it. The same thing goes with Liandry's, it always is. Somebody who can continually reapply the item and make use of it.
Right. I mean, the reason I really only picked it is just so it broke even.
Okay.
Right.
Well, let's talk about the next big item, Rylai's Crystal Scepter here, because this item had arguably the biggest change out of all the AoE
Yeah,
items.
holy crap at what is about to change with this AoE slow.
Oh yeah.
So the cost of the item went from 2,900 to 3,000 gold. The ability power is still at 100. The health is still at 400. The recipe change is now Giant's Belt, Needlessly Large Rod, Amplifying Tome, 315 gold. So some of that gold went into the Needlessly Large Rod rather than into the combined cost. But the biggest change here is the slows and how the slows affect it. Because before it didn't really add that much slows to AoEs, now it adds a ton of slow to pretty much everything. Single target slow is now 40%, up from 35%. Area of effect slow was 15% and is now 40%. Damage over time on or multi-hit slows was 15% for 1.5 seconds and is now 20% for 1 second. And the summon minions, including Children of the Grave and Annie's R, now do a slow on hit for 20% for 1 second. Something to bring this back to, we'll talk about this a little later, is that Ryze has changed slows, so they no longer are multiplicative. They are just whatever is the biggest slow takes effect.
Is the one
that goes.
Don't stack your slows.
Oh,
no more stacking slows.
Aha, I didn't see that.
Yes, that was one of the big changes.
Slow stacking change. Yep.
Something that we have to bring up is you can no longer stack slows. So whatever is the biggest slow that hits you is the slow that you were slowed by. So if it was 35 and you got hit by a 40%, that 40% takes place. It is not 55%. It's 40%.
Now that one reason some people might have had to get that frozen mallet to stack the slow on whatever slow they already did, that you
completely worthless,
is gone.
Yeah. Oh my god! I didn't even think about that. It made frozen mallet more worthless than it was before.
Yep.
I think we also need to explain what damage over time or multi-hit slow means. The multi-hit portion specifically, damage over time, I think everyone knows that it's a dot. But what is a multi-hit?
Well, the important thing about the damage over time slow is that it reapplies the slow until you move out of that area. So area of effect, the difference between area of effect and damage over time or multi-hit is that area of effect slows are a one-time hit. Like they hit multiple people, but it hits you one time.
Yeah, it'd be like a Ziggs bomb would instantly slow you for 40%.
Right. And
Defy would be example of multi-hit then.
Right, or Zyra's plants, like her slowing plant that hits you, and then it hits you again, and every time it hits you, it reapplies the slow.
Singed Q.
What about Morgana's poop?
That would be multi-hit.
I think it's a multi-hit.
Every time it ticks, it's a multi-hit.
Right, it ticks.
Flame Spitter,
and
it's
it slows every
seconds,
time.
It's a multi-hit.
Okay.
So anything that has a damage over time ability is going to hit you. It's going to reapply that slow, or it used to with the old Rylai's.
But Karthus Q, for example, is an area of effect, so it means it'll slow you for 40%.
Yes.
When it hits you.
Right, exactly.
It'll slow everybody in the area that it hits for 40%. So Karthus with Rylai's, he just got a giant buff.
Defile. Yeah.
But yeah, no, Defile will slow anybody. Then anybody's hitting with Q will now get slowed by 40% rather than Defile plus the 40%. Keep that in mind.
Right. They don't stack. Yep.
Yes.
So although the ability power hasn't changed to this item, it's now at the same ability power level as Luden's and Zhonya's. So this is what they were saying while how they wanted to give casters choices, right? Now you have the choice between, do I need the Zhonya's active, do I need the Luden's movement speed and proc, or do I need this Rylai's slow?
Do you want some safety?
And health.
Do you want
is important.
bonus utility in the health? Like Rylai's is utility that kind of equals out to the other things now, or do you want an ability that makes you run an item that makes you run faster and has the active attack like hit on it from a spell?
I'm excited about this for Malzahar's little voidlings.
And it works on them too.
Yep.
And his space aids, of course.
Right.
So
the big thing here is going back to the changes of needlessly large rod. My question is that 10% CDR and 10 AP loss over the needlessly large rod worth it for the next level item that you're picking up? Because before you were rushing Morellonomicon or Athene's Unholy Grail because it was the cheap option that gave you a lot of utility walking into those mid-game dragon fights. But now, is the utility offered to you by Rylai's, Luden's, or Zhonya's more important than the extra CDR or mana regen that you're receiving from Morellonomicon or Athene's? I mean, you still have choices, right? But I think that Rylai's becomes such a good item and the slow becomes so crippling that item is probably the one to rush now rather than a grievous wounds or extra mana.
Well, that question you asked is why I love these changes so much, because you're going to be asking that question every game.
Right.
And it's going to change depending on the matchup every game. Like,
it's not
what
just,
do I need? It's
not going to just change depending on the matchup. It's going to change depending on, like, did you give up first blood or not?
Yeah.
Did you, like, this is something that's going to get super, super nitpicky, and the people who are going to be able to adapt to, oh, hey, I'm doing pretty well, and I can buy some items. Can I pick up that Luden's to get that extra move speed so I can roam just that much faster and see if I can continue to snowball? Or does the enemy Zed, who I beat out even though I probably shouldn't have, is he going to hit a point where going Zhonya's instead, is more important?
Right.
I like this. I know, Adam, you have your reservations, but...
I think the changes are good overall because I think it does give you a lot more choices, but you're still kind of pigeonholed in a few areas in the fact that you're going to want the step piece into Zhonya's for the armor so that you can play against those 80 assassins. But does that pigeonhole everybody in the Zhonya's Hourglass now because 80 assassins are going to be coming back? That brings you back to the question earlier. Do I know if that's going to happen? No, it's just something I'm throwing out there that people are going to need to experiment and play with.
Well, and it to be honest, it also kind of changes up certain champions' like power. So look at Ziggs again. Let's say that now that the Q active, like if he Qs somebody and you have your Rylai's and that slows for 40%, are we going to be seeing way more Ziggs that are like, hey, I have a bunch of abilities that, do an AoE ability that's in one burst, so I get a 40% on a bunch of them. Alt, your satchel charge, your Q, you already have a slow that's baked into your mind, so what's that matter? And then Ziggs now turns into this person that was just like annoying poke from the past to not only now is he annoying poke, he's annoying poke that if he gets that slow on a group of people, he just offered up the ability for your team to engage, and there's no way they're getting away.
Shit.
Well,
the other thing is, I mean, I don't see a reason why you couldn't
carry.
If you're building Rylai's, if that's where you want to go, if you're building like a utility mage and you don't necessarily want that Zhonya's, I don't see a reason why you can't pick up the Giant's Belt against an 80 assassin.
Right.
I mean, 400 health, that's a big deal early game.
The only reason you wouldn't is because you want the extra ability power that comes with the
Seeker's Arm Guard.
Seeker's Arm Guard, yeah. To be able to push I think that would be the only reason you wouldn't want to do it because you want the extra ability power. But I actually, that's a good thought because I have the same thought.
Well, I mean, now it has several different step items to it. Who's to say you can't go back, pick up part of the Giant's Belt or the whole Giant's Belt and an Amp Tome or a Needless or, there are options. It's not as pigeonholed as it used to be. Right now, even against an 80 assassin, you go back and you pick up Arm Guard almost every time.
Yeah.
Unless you're crazy ahead.
I learned that lesson the hard way a couple times. I'll just out best defense, good offense against Zed. Nah, nope. Always wishing I got the
You
Seekers.
done made a mistake.
Yeah.
Because Seekers right now is 1,200 gold, and that gives you the 30 armor and the 25 ability power. For only 200 more, you can get the, 235. You could get your Giant's Belt and then, the Amp Tome and have the same amount of ability power.
I wonder if there's some AP bruisers that will actually do that. I don't know. I don't play enough of them to know off the top of my head. It is compelling, like you said.
There's options now, which is nice. I do
would.
feel like there's a lot more options than there used to be.
Yeah, and that's
I
the
feel
beauty
like
of it.
they were much more accomplished in giving options with this than they were when they tried to do it with
The 80
a couple of seasons ago. Yeah, with the AD
Yeah.
items.
Yeah, that was my first thought, because like these changes seem to be the point where like everything's kind of on the same level, but now you can like actually choose what sort of utility or actives that you want, whereas in the other items were like, well, these stats kind of seem cool, but they're still massively inferior to the tried and true stuff.
Well,
So, Pone, you like the Rylai's Crystal Scepter changes, right? You think it's a good item?
yeah, I think Rylai's a good item. Yeah.
I just find it ironic that you hate the AD version of the of the item that gives you a slow on your auto attacks, but the AP version, pretty good now.
Yeah, because
I know they're apples or oranges. I just find it funny.
it's not. It's just not. Yeah, it's apples and oranges. Like, do you want me to argue with that? Do you want? I know. I saw you guys laughing as I walked by here. Did you enjoy me taking my dog out and grabbing her like my little child? I'm like, let's go outside. I saw the fucking
Yeah,
stickers.
that was great. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I hate you all. Let's talk about Will of the Ancients, because this is another big item where we're to each talk about Rylai's that Vladimir is going to love, because he has an AoE that slows, and now he has a single target that slows, and he has another AoE with his ultimate that's going to slow as soon as he puts it down. Let's talk about Will of the Ancients, where they remove the spell vamp completely. No more spell vamp in the item. However, your abilities heal you for 15% of the damage dealt calculated before your opponent's resistances. So it's a nerf early game, meaning you gain less health early game, but the more resistances, or rather, the more damage you pick up, the more you heal for. Now, so
Not only the more damage you pick up, and completely disregarding what the enemy has built, you're going to be gaining fat chunks of health eventually, as long as like you can keep up on your item buys.
But it's 33% effect for AoE, so it's 5% heal of the damage dealt, approximately.
Yeah, right.
For AoE spells.
Yeah.
So.
But that'd be 5% for each
wrong
hit,
with that.
making it 15, right? If it's
Well,
flat, it hits
33%.
3 times, it's 5%
Oh, yeah.
for each chunk
Right,
that
5%.
hits. It turns into 15%, meaning he's healed for the same amount as his AoE as he has for his single target.
Is it like that? Is it like when it says your abilities heal you? Is it every time it ticks, or?
Well, I guess
so.
If
How else would it do it?
Each bolt would have to do the damage for it to include 5% of each bolt. If,
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure
Right.
each bolt does that damage with him, rather than it being a spread out 50 damage that's done. Does that make sense?
It's just this all of these changes just make Vladimir ridiculous.
Yeah, they're all pretty
I don't even
solid
know what
for
to say. Like, between Will of the Ancients and Rylai's, and if you get into Spirit Visage, like tons of damage, never die.
Welcome,
heal,
Black
heal
Blood Man.
forever.
Now wait a minute. It said okay. All right.
It's gonna be season 1 all over again.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Voda Gallio here. I'm thinking Voda Gallio.
Full heal off your ult and shield.
You
and your
already
shield,
gain a
right.
fuckload of healing off your shield,
Right.
though. Like,
You
you
do.
don't really need the extra healing from Will of the Ancients.
Well, if you're still dying by things in the game,
If
then
somehow you're still
maybe
dying.
you
If
should.
somehow you're still
Yeah,
dying
somehow-
through your shield, that gives you a ton of
somehow you're-
healing.
if somehow your death counter is above 0 for whatever reason, maybe this will help.
Think of it this way: you're low health in Galio. Instead of running away, you flash into the enemy, use your ultimate, and you're back at full health.
Exactly.
There you
You're
go.
not already that way when you put your W on yourself and take all those auto attacks, but okay. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm glad they made this.
Oh, you're not in a
change
full health. 50%.
because
Spell
Will-
vamp is.
go ahead.
No, they're just being
I was
idiots.
finishing your
Go
sentence.
ahead, just talk
Yeah.
over them.
I was going to say, I'm really glad that they've made these changes because Will of the Ancients, at one point in time before a lot of the changes, used to be really important, like very core on several champions. And Spell Vamp just kind of wasn't as effective. Like, there were a lot of changes in the games. There's a lot of changes with items and things like that made it so much less effective. And this brings it completely back for a lot of champions. And it's nice to see things like that coming back rather than them removing an item because nobody uses it, like for them to tweak it and make it viable, or not viable, but useful again is really good.
Well, what's weird, they removed Spell Vamp. They removed Spell Vamp, but the spell casting Vamp, Vladimir, gets buffed.
Right.
So, ironic.
Well, it's
good observation there,
Spell Vamp on Will of the Ancients because the Hextech Revolver still has the Spell Vamp on it, so it's not until it upgrades that it does remove it.
That is interesting. I'm surprised they didn't address that.
I wonder if they will at some point. I wonder if this is like something they're trying.
And Hextech Revolver still has it too, correct?
Yeah, it also
yeah.
Or you mean the Gunblade?
Yeah, Gunblade.
Right,
Gunblade still has
That's
it.
what I
You
meant.
can still have runes that have Spell Vamp. There is still a Spell Vamp Mastery. So Spell Vamp has not been removed.
And Morgana still has Spell Vamp.
Right.
Which, if you think about, it's kind of funny considering there's so few actual Spell Vamp items in the game.
You mean 2 now?
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
All 2 of them.
No, there's more than that. Rageblade has it too.
That doesn't count. That item may as well not exist.
Okay, Wrecker. You build it on your kale. Let's talk haunting, guys. Actually, you know what? Let's talk Seraph's Embrace and Rod of Ages because these 2 changes to Seraph's and Rod of Ages are actually giant changes for Ryze. If you thought Ryze was a monster right now and you can't stop him before 25 minutes, he's going to be giving you more of a monster than he was before. We'll talk about that. Seraph's Embrace. Ability power is now 80 total after it has been stacked. So meaning this is the highest ability power item that you can get in the game.
We also take into consideration the Archangel Staff changes.
Yes.
So before you can get to Seraph's Embrace, you have to build Archangel Staff, which is now 300 gold more expensive from 270 to 3,000 gold. And the recipe changed from Tear of the Goddess Blasting Wand to Tear of the Goddess Needlessly Large Rod, with a less expensive combined cost of 1,030 gold. Mm-hmm. And the ability power on that was raised from 60 to 80. So that's where the Seraph's Embrace gets the ability power increase.
Right. Exactly.
20 extra ability power, 300 extra gold.
Yeah, just a little bit harder to get to that next piece of the Archangel Staff. Delaying it, you know what it does is it delays a power spike by a little bit, but it increases the spike that you get when you make it to that.
Yes.
To that point is what it is.
Well, and as you're picking up the pieces, you get more of a power spike from the Needlessly Large Rod over the Blasting Wand. You know, chances are if you're going back, you have money for a Blasting Wand, you probably have enough for the new 1250 Needlessly Large Rod, unless you're really...
Well, especially if you don't have the 1030 to finish it right away, you have that little bit of extra ability power, and like you can sit on the components a bit too, because it's not like you don't get anything out of the tier. You're still getting you're still stacking the mana in that period of trying to build up the in the period of trying to build up the extra mana on it.
You have more AP you're sitting on than the
it's a little bit harder to get to, but.
Well, both of these
it pays off.
This is the Nivea, Karthus, Ryze. Who are the other champions I was thinking of right now? Those are the 3 off the top of my head that really significantly increase based on on this change, on the Archangel Staff change. Like I can see Nivea.
Singed used to build it.
Singed
I like it with
Singed will
Vhagar.
still build it because Tear of the Goddess helps Singed he gains more life off his mana. So
he's gonna. I mean, pretty much whoever used to build it is going to build it
still.
Right.
It's not going to change. You still can't put it on like a burst champion. You want it on those sustained damage mages that spam their abilities a lot.
And conversely, people that usually don't build it probably aren't going to build it now either.
No, it still doesn't. You're not going to be able to stack it fast enough. Like if you were like Cassiopeia can build it, but you can't build it on like LeBlanc.
And especially now that the large rod is more expensive. Or, well, it's less expensive, but it still is more expensive than a blasting wand.
Right.
So these changes through Archangel Staff and Rod of Ages, they both have an ability power increase, but the people that weren't building them before probably still aren't building them. Mm-hmm. So it just these 2 changes just they don't really go with the spirit of the rest of the changes they made, where you have more choices. These seem like you're still going to build on the champions that built them before, and now they're going to be more powerful.
Yeah.
Well, what I like about the Rod of Ages change, because it goes hand in hand with the Righteous Glory nerf that we didn't talk about. Righteous Glory now had health reduction nerf, those top laners like Nautilus and Maokai, who might have built Righteous Glory, could, in solo queue, potentially build Rod of Ages now and get a bigger spike with the ability power. Now, those are only 2 cases of champions. That's not an overarching, but that's like... Before it was you built Righteous Glory just because you had enough base damage to do to do what you needed to do, and you synergize really well in a team environment. But now that you have the choice of Rod of Ages, you could become a pretty big lane bully when you get it.
I think you have to go over the rest of the changes to Rod of Ages though.
That's true.
Because they're like Maokai tank building Righteous Glory or Rod of Ages, and although Righteous Glory has had his health decreased, which we'll touch on at some point, Rod of Ages has also had his health decreased.
Yes.
In the early. Yes.
Total cost for Rod of Ages is now 2,700 gold. However, the base health has been decreased to 300 from 450. Base mana 450 to 400. Health growth has been unchanged, so that stays completely normal.
Right.
Mana growth is now 40 per minute, which gives 400 mana at 10 minutes. Before it was 20 per
All
minute,
the mana.
So you get a fuck ton of mana. Ability power was 2 per minute, 20 ability power after 10 minutes, but now it is 4 per minute at 40 ability power after 10 minutes.
That's the big one.
So it's it's double. Everything is double.
You lose
except health.
At max stats, you lose 150 health, but you gain 150 mana.
Yes.
And ability power.
But I still like Righteous Glory on these champions, but I think people that aren't very good at using people that aren't good at using actives and engaging, which I'm kind of looking at some of you people that might be lower elo. The Rod of Ages might be a better choice if you.
Oh my god! Don't tell them that. Put a sticky on your monitor and use the button.
Now they're gonna get it.
No, use your actives.
But
use your actives.
Use your actives, or Days will come to your house and scold you.
And use them twice in a fight.
Yeah, don't band-aid your flaws. Like fix them. Put a sticky note on your monitor that says use whatever. I used to have like 8 around them. I probably need to put them back on there because I do stupid things all the time.
Isn't large enough to put a put something on it. What do I do?
Yeah,
no, I just cut. I literally used to take a yellow sticky pad and cut the top off.
My bezel isn't large enough to put a sticky on there. What do I do?
Set an alarm every 5 minutes.
What do I do? My bezel isn't large enough.
You have plenty of room. Just
there's no bezel.
All right, I don't. For me, it wouldn't be a bezel issue. The issue for me is I don't want sticky residue on my shit.
You're gone later. Either way, use your actives. Use your actives. Don't. No, use your actives.
I'd rather you go to a forum to post it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at it all.
Well, all right.
I'm done.
I will say definitely use your actives, and if you want a really good example of why you should do that, I was building Muramana for a long time after it came out, and I didn't even realize you had to turn it on to get the advantage out of the damage for it.
You're
and
bad.
that probably went on for like 2 months. So don't be like me and actually pay attention to stuff. And I don't know how I even got good at this game at that point.
Well, you're not good.
I had a support main message me and go, well, I don't build Mikhails because I suck at the active. But like that's such an important item for supports. Like you have to know, you don't have to build it every game, but you have to know how to use it. Like you have to practice with it. And it's it's by no means an easy item to use. But like you have to practice. You can't not ever build Mikhails on support. You'll only get so far on that.
Yeah, I'd never build a Rabadon because I can't land a skill shot.
Right. It's the same thing.
Right.
Okay.
I like
had my little rant.
I like Daze's rant. Don't band-aid bad habits. I started doing that because there was a team that in Frown's tournament named DeClawd's Empty Mana Bars because I always had empty mana bars. So I would band-aid it by getting mana regen items, you know, like the the Forbidden Idol, etc. But it didn't help. It doesn't help at all. So just fix the damn bad habit. Fix the damn bad habit.
Andrew in chat had a really good idea. Whenever you die, make note of any summoners and items that you didn't use. That's a pretty good idea too.
Go back and watch the replay. Actually, I started watching. I watched one of my replays earlier, and I'm like face palming. I'm like, I told myself at the same time I shouldn't have done that. Now I'm even more embarrassed because I know I shouldn't have done what I did. That type of thing. So yeah, watch your replays, guys. Let's move on. We have a few more AP optimization items to talk about. I do want to point out before we get in there that I want to throw this out there for next week is that I think Singe is going to be overpowered in this patch for solo queue and just solo queue. Like I think he's gonna be fucking amazing.
You know, all right.
Wait, stop! No, go back to Liandry's. I want to talk about Liandry's.
So but I was gonna say that because all these changes, they kind of work with Singed in one way or another. Liandry's, let's talk about it. 3,000 gold from 2,900 gold. New Hunting Guys, Blasting Wand, 650 gold instead of Amplifying Tome, 980 gold. Ability power has now been increased to 80 from 50. Days. Take her away.
Huge buff.
I'm just excited. Look, there's a lot of people that this affects. I'm really excited for support Zyra.
I know it.
I'm so excited for Zyra.
Burning Bush.
Because she has to. No, Burning Bush was like different items that no longer exist in the game.
Liandry's was
but
the core.
Liandry's always. Well, actually, the core of that was Spirit of the Lizard.
Elder Lizard. Yep.
Or yeah, but even every support Zyra, like this is core. You have to build it on her. She has to do damage, or she's not effective as a support. And even if you go into pro builds and everything, it's always built on her, always. So the fact that you can get it for 100 more gold and get 300 more AP out of it is huge. And the fact that you get, instead of having to go the amp tome,
it's 100 more gold for 30 extra AP.
She's so excited that she thought she was gonna
300.
Yeah.
Anyways, but it's
you need to wait for 20 more gold for the Hunting Guys, though.
Oh no!
You lose that 20 gold power spike.
Yeah.
Not 20 gold.
Yeah.
That's
take that into account when you're backing.
And then walking around as support,
that's the deal breaker.
And as a support coming out of lane, like a lot of times, what you do is you would get your Sightstone, and then you get Hunting Guys, and then you would get your boots. You get your tier 2 boots, and you go back and you finish Liandry's. And at that point in the game, like supports out of lane have a hard time making gold. Like have a really hard time making gold unless you're fighting a lot and getting a lot of assists. So instead of having to sit and wait for the 980 gold, to be able to pick up that Blasting Wand instead of Amp Tome is really nice too. I like it. I'm excited. But there's a lot of other champions, but I had my little bit. Now we can talk about other champions.
Oh no, you can have all the bits you want. Just keep.
I mean, especially with the Rylai Scepter changes.
I was gonna say that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot more of this item. I've always liked this item too. I'm just happy to see the ability power increase on it to make it, you know, more of a appealing decision. Because I mean, you can build Hunting Guys and then upgrading it to Liandry is kind of like, okay, I guess.
Shut up.
There he is.
I mean, I miss the old original right when she was released Elise build where you went Hunting Guys straight into Liandry's Rylai's as well back when you played her in top lane. That shit was hilariously fun too. So I hope some of these changes help her. We'll see. We'll see. I might have to
try it.
Get depressed.
You don't have to fully buy into top lane Elise. You can at least get Elise.
Hashtag pray for Elise.
And you know, I can't wait. I'm gonna hint at this, but I can't wait for this singed change on his fling. And I don't care about the root one. That's great.
Dude, it's not even that. He gains magic resist per level.
No. You
shut
up.
MR is really big.
Shut up. None of that matters.
Bullshit. That's
way more important than the fling.
No.
The MR is way more important. All of his counters are MR.
No.
I'm not talking about.
I would hug you right now.
You two shut the fuck up for about 2 seconds while I bring up the fact
all of his.
He laughs whenever you press your E now?
Okay, that's...
What?
Yeah.
I like how he was actually trying to
cheer
do
one.
some stupid-ass point, and we're arguing, yeah, it's great. I love it. I love you guys.
The laughing part. But you know what? Miss Fortune's not going to laugh when she ults anymore, so...
No, yes, she is.
Yes, she will.
Yes, she is.
She will?
And so
they commented on it. They just take the voice tracks out of the...
But she looks like Gumby while she's ulting, so it's, it's a wash.
More laughs. More laughs. I like it. Bunch of laughs.
Oh my god.
I want a gift for that. Somebody gift punch.
I know.
Got him. Woo.
I want didn't read. LOL didn't read. Above it. LOL didn't read.
New T-shirt. Punch. Woo with quotes.
It's just depressing. I hope they fix that.
All right, you know what? We talked about Singe, but we didn't actually talk about what the hell changed for our listeners who won't have to wait a few days for the next episode.
No,
I think we should just
No.
Throw out what's changing with Singe, then go back to items. What do you think?
Whatever.
Or do we make them wait?
Care. Just
Make them wait.
They can look it up. We talked about it. They can look
Wow.
Let's
Look
talk
it up,
about
damn it.
Nashor's tooth.
So they're going to be waiting for days.
Can we?
Yeah, we
can
got 2 items here. Let's finish the items. We're almost done.
What, Chira?
All right.
Spirit Visage.
We don't. No. We're not getting to
fuck.
that yet.
Oh, come on.
Next week.
We're just trying to avoid staff, okay?
So many exciting changes this patch.
We're talking about AP itemization this patch.
I don't want to talk about Void Staff.
I think we're gonna do.
Try to
the
avoid
other,
it?
Aren't we gonna do the other items too?
Yeah, I
Today?
thought we were talking about all the items.
No,
but-
Yeah,
we're
I
doing
thought you said
AP
item.
itemization.
No, it took too long.
AP
already passed.
itemization.
No. Can we at least go over Spirit Visage so that everybody doesn't build it on Soraka?
No, you won't go over
Everything
Singed. We're not
heal
going
more?
over Spirit Visage.
Okay.
Shut the hell up. We're going Void
No,
Staff.
because I have my reasons, Days. I've told you my reasons. No!
Okay.
We still have Void and Nashor's Tooth to talk about.
Yes. I'm trying to avoid it. All right, I used that pun like 4 times. Let's go.
Yeah, that is the
We already
6th
talked about
time
Void.
in
We
a
already
same
talked
one,
about
too.
Void.
span you said the
Same
same
one.
thing.
Void Staff
Alright.
has been changed from 229... 200...
We already talked about Void.
Hey,
We
hey,
haven't!
We didn't talk about it.
we did
We alluded
say
to it.
we alluded
did.
to it like 5 times. All right,
did.
Void
We're not talking
Staff.
about Luden's Echo. We haven't alluded to anything.
So do we with Singed.
Yes, we did talk about Luden's Echo. Now shut up and let me talk. Void Staff
I need my
cost
soundboard.
increase was increased. All right, Void Staff cost increased was to 2,500 gold from 2,295, and the ability power went up 10. Thoughts?
It is
Well, if
better,
you
but
rewind
it
like
costs
4 times.
more.
250.
Significantly more gold.
205. 205
better.
more gold. There you go.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
Still can
it
maximize
affects
your damage.
your
You're still
power
voting
space.
this.
It's hard,
Even though
it's
the
hard to
blasting
yell at
fun.
people
Two
and go,
two
buy
more
this item
things.
because it's hard to yell at people and say buy this item because they should have been buying it previously, but now that it costs more
Yeah.
gold, it's harder to say buy this item because it helps
No,
you
it's
do
not
more
harder
damage.
to say that. You need to buy this because people buy resistances and you need to counter resistances.
I say it's,
it's
harder
not
because it
hard.
costs more.
Yeah,
Buy
Rabadons
Void.
and this were the 1-2 items for the most
Yes.
magic DPS items of the game. So if people weren't buying this before, that's a problem.
And
You should
You
be.
have to buy Void if you're not buying another magic penetration item.
Well,
and there
this
are
is
not a
your
lot of
go-to.
magic pen items.
Yeah, this is your go-to magic pen item.
It is. It is. This is what most
This
people
is your
pick
last
up.
whisper.
There are a few. There are a few exceptions that pick up, like Liandry's or something like that. But most champions, you have to get Void. You cannot not pick up. You can't just stack AP and not get
Right.
penetration.
Karthus, for example. You want this.
Yes.
The extra damage for hitting everybody. With
well,
resistance
it-
is
it
just-
blows my mind that people don't even build this item earlier than they typically would, because what? You build this at the point where people are just starting to get their magic resist anyway, and you're still borderline doing close to true damage with your massive ability to eat through whatever resistances they bought.
The
Why?
look.
Why aren't you getting this?
Come on.
I don't. We're all dumbfounded.
Rethink
Come
all
on.
of
We're
your
all-
priorities. and buy
I
this
just
item.
want to know why
We're in
Adam
an
thinks
argument,
it's
we can't
okay
argue
to
with
tell
that. You're
people
right.
they don't have to buy
That's
it.
not what I said. I just said it's harder to. I meant to say it's like harder to convince people to buy it now because it costs more gold.
Because it
Convince is
costs
the
more.
word.
200
Well, those
gold,
people are
but it gives
silly.
you more
Well-
AP.
If you're not good at hitting skill shots, then don't get this item.
If you miss all your abilities, then why even bother?
Just
Don't
put
even
up a
bother.
sticky.
You know what?
if-
Just don't buy anything.
put it.
You
put
know
a
what?
sticky
When
note
I
on your
first started
keyboard.
playing League and I missed all my skill shots, my friend looked at me and goes, "You should just pick up an ADC so you can be like an auto attack champion." So there you go. That's what happened with
Good
Punch.
advice.
We missed one item in the AP group, Nashor's Tooth.
Yeah.
Kale.
80 more gold.
Yeah.
Kale.
10% less attack speed.
Okay,
Sound
good.
full.
We covered that.
20 more ability power.
Yeah. Kale. Woo.
Yeah.
Bet
I
you
mean,
Kale.
they wanted to make it more appealing for people that aren't kill, but
I don't see anyone else picking it up.
right. I mean, the attack speed component is still there, even though it decreased
Right.
by 10%. It's still there, and there's only so many AP champions that use
You gotta
those.
sit on your stinger.
I want to know the one person who's going, you know what, 50%? That's a little too much for me. I need to pick up something else.
Wait.
If only it was 40%.
the cost increased, but I get less
80
attack
gold, though.
speed now.
Well, you could have increased the attack speed by 10%, and I don't think it would have made a goddamn difference.
Let's
Like-
talk about
It's
Rage
still for
Blade.
What are you talking about? Udyr. Udyr, AP Udyr, but I love this.
I will slap the shit out of you.
I like how Cheer gets. It's like me with Frozen Mallet. Cheer gets mad at me when I bring up AP.
Personal insult.
Like, don't get me wrong. There's sometimes when if you're like, I hate it when people go to play AP. I've had so many people ask, "Let's go play AP Udyr. Just try it out. Let me know how it goes." And I'm like, I'd rather have fun and not instantly die. Like, cool.
I can do so much damage every 3 auto attacks.
But I can kill minions so much faster. Yeah, that's great. I like to be unkillable and still do damage. So I'll see you at your Nexus. Killing it.
The funny thing about Nashor's is that it's so specific to Kale.
Yeah.
And no one else, but you can't take it out because it's so essential to Kale.
I was going to bring up Azir because, I mean, he's somebody when he first came out that people would controversially build Nashor's Tooth on him. Right. Yeah, Adam's making the, don't do this.
Don't do it.
Look, we're not taking Azir advice from Adam no matter what happens.
Yeah, he's not the go-to.
I'm just saying, it's something people build and they try it out on him.
Hard by just
is this something people are going to look
at? It isn't that his
absolutely
shoulders don't hit hard, Adam. It's just I don't want to take Azir advice from you. Sorry.
It's just because it costs 80 more gold. No. Yeah, for that
it gives you 20 more ability power.
But why not just get more slow on Rylai's and more life if they attack you? Why not get Zhonya's? Why not get Luden's and do some proc damage, for 3,000?
Just means you can't get that ward when you get this item on your back. That's all. And then you're going to die because you don't see anything.
Way to go,
Spirit Visage. There we go. In the spirit of what Days want to talk about.
In the spirit of your horrifying visage right now.
So the point I wanted to get at with Azir is maximizing AP more worthwhile than augmenting your attack speed with cooldown reduction and attack speed?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Unless you have a champion that benefits off that attack speed more than maximizing the AP.
Like Kale.
I think it's... But you know what? I mean, there are people who have built it before. I don't know if the AP change. That'll be something to watch because I don't know if the AP change will get more people to buy it because it has 80. But like Faker and Candy Panda have bought it on him. So, I mean, I don't know. These are, pros. So they troll with some things sometimes and they experiment. But people have done it. I can't say it's going to be absolutely terrible because 80 AP does make a big difference. But it's a lot of gold. It's a lot of gold.
For the large majority of players, that this item will not be built. It's very easy to look at what Faker and Candy Panda and those guys do, but we also have to keep in mind the mechanics of those players. They're
absolutely
not necessarily missing auto attacks where
just because a pro player can do something doesn't mean you can too.
Right.
I agree. I'm just saying it is something that people have experimented around with. So I'm sure people will do so again after these changes.
Yeah, more power to you. If you want to write in and tell me why I'm wrong, go for it, and I'll just ignore your email. No, I'm kidding. I'll forward on to everybody and we'll talk about it.
Speaking of team play, Spirit Visage healing bonus is no longer
We're not talking about Spirit Visage
tonight. All
we are ending the podcast right now. We are talking about Spirit Visage.
I got it in there. Too bad.
We are talking about Spirit Visage. We are talking about Soraka. We're talking about Vladimir. We're fucking talking about, I don't care. We're talking about everybody else. But
we're talking about how Kalista might as well be removed from the game, right?
Off!
Yep.
Don't
and how
even get me
Vagar's buff
started.
was the
You know
biggest.
what? I wish we were doing a 2-hour show because I could do this whole goddamn thing right now. I'm pumped up and ready to go.
Also, can we play a very sad dirge for our fallen friend, Runeglaive Ezreal?
I wish I could. I can't.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
A lamenting song of the good times and the bad that we spent talking about and playing with.
All right, anyway, guys, that's episode number 275 of the Trinity Force podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and fuck you, Chira Jaden, for bringing that goddamn champion up.
See ya.
No.
See ya.
There you guys.
What? I didn't say bye.
Oh,
what are
you said
doing?
bye.
Wait, whoa.
Hit stop.
I'm sorry.
Did you hit stop? Because if you did,
I did.
I don't care if you did. Anyway, I just want to make sure I read. Jesus Christ, shit show of a podcast. I love it. This is my favorite.
You started it. You straight up started it.
We're rolling back around to the very beginning of the show. Whoop, doing a loop, and that's.
Well, that was a long way.
Hey guys, I am looking for people to help out with Batterina. So if you didn't hear it at the beginning of the show because you skipped, you're going to hear it now. Seriously, Plat 5 or higher, email me, feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com. Let me know why you think you'd be good and be ready to watch a replay that I send you and analyze it. And send me the video back of you analyzing the replay. Horse Doctor and I will sit down, watch it, and we'll tell you if yes or no you can come in and join the Trinity Force podcast family. That's it, guys. That is episode number 275 of the Trinity Force podcast. We will be back on Monday with episode 276 as we talk about Spirit Visage and all the rest of the changes that are coming to patch 5.13. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. And, guys, we will see you again on Monday. Peace.
See ya.
Bye, guys.